back to a special episode of the Gone for 10 show. Obviously, by the time this airs, it will be Anzac Day. So thank you for all those who have served and fought for us. And obviously, if you do know anyone, thank them for us on behalf of the Gone for 10 show, lest we forget. And we hope that anyone that did or was able to go to the dawn service, we hope they had a great time today and that they were able to pay their respects to those past and present who did fight for this brilliant country. But let's jump into this match. You've got James Tedesco, Daniel Tupu, Joseph Suali'i, Paul Momorowski, Jackson Paulo, Joseph Manu, Luke Keary, Jared Hargraves, Brendan Smith, Lindsay Collins, Egan Butcher, Angus Crichton, Victor Radley, Drew Hutchinson, Satili Tupanua, Matthew Lodge, Nafua White, Corey Allen, and Nathan Brown. Now, a few changes to this squad, even further from the squad that was announced by Trent Robinson on Tuesday. You've got Terrell May being replaced on the bench by Nafua White in the number 20 jersey. You've also got Sam Walker, who was relegated, which is probably the biggest talking point of the week. Sam Walker was relegated to New South Wales Cup. Joey Manu has been moved into 5'8" to replace him, which means Luke Keary has gone to halfback. You also have Angus Crichton making his first game of the season, returning from his mental health issues that he was dealing with, and we're glad that he was able to get the help he needed, and it's brilliant. It's a massive win for the NRL to have him back. So Angus Crichton comes back in since the World Cup. He'll fill the hole left by Nat Butcher, who is suspended after last week's game versus the Sharks. You then also have Satili Tupanua returning from his ACL injury. He'll start from the bench. And Nathan Brown does remain in the squad, being trimmed down to 19 at the 24-hour update. And he closes in on that Sydney Roosters NRL club debut. So a lot of changes for this Roosters side, most notably that Joey Manu going into 6 and Sam Walker being dropped to New South Wales Cup. Whether it was to work on his game, whether Trent Robinson just thought he needed something, we're not going to know that. Like we've seen year in year, the Sydney Roosters are really good at keeping things in-house. Obviously, there was a bit of rumour coming out of the Walker camp that they weren't happy with how Cooper Cronk was coaching the side. However, Cooper Cronk's come out and said, that's not about me. Talk to the coach, talk to the player if you want to find out what's going on. So definitely very interesting. Obviously, Momorowski coming into the centres. That's another big change, obviously, to replace Joey Manu, who's moved into 5'8". He'll most likely take over the kicking duty. So keep an eye on Paul Momorowski. He's got a lot to prove after he's trying to stay in his squad after he was told he wasn't needed less than a month or two ago. So keep an eye on that. But let's look at their opponents from today. It's 4:05 from Allianz Stadium. You got the St. George Illawarra Dragons. You got Tyrell Sloan, Matthew Fagay, Moses Sully, Zach Lomax, Tatai Moga, Talatai Amon, Ben Hunt, Zane Musgrove, Moses Mumbai, Blake Laurie, Ben Murdoch-Masila, Jack Bird, Jack DeBellin, Jacob Little, Michael Morlow, Toby Couchman, Josh Kerr, Jaden Hunt, and Matt Fagay. Now, there's no changes to the team list that was listed on Tuesday. However, the changes are Ben Murdoch does come back into this pack. He does take over the position of Jaden Sewer, who was sidelined by a shoulder injury from last week. And obviously, Moses Mabai will start at hooker after a late change with Jacob Little obviously being moved to that bench position in number 14. So obviously Jacob Little can play in that hooker position. So maybe they're trying to emulate a little bit of what Queensland do when they have Harry Grant and Ben Hunt roaming around in that hooker position and bench position respectively. So as we know, guys, with this game, it's always an interesting matchup. Form goes out the window. Both teams are coming in after losing their last 2 games. The Dragons having won 1 of their last 5 and the Roosters having won 3 of their last 5. But like we said, form goes out the window. And I take you back to last year. Their second meeting of the year was on July 16th and the Roosters ran out 54 to 26-point victors. You go back to this game last year, and this brings me back to form goes out the window. Roosters go into this game heavy favorite. It's the Dragons that come out 14 to 12 victors at the SCG. So form does go out the window when these two sides meet. That Anzac spirit, the whole, I guess, energy that comes from the game, the delivery of the trophy, the last post, everything that goes into this game really pumps these players up. And no matter if you're coming first, last, or somewhere in between, these two teams do fight. They do put on an absolute spectacle. And I expect when I am there today, it'll be another cracking game between these two teams. But since 1998, they've played 47 games. The Roosters having won 25, the Dragons having won 21, and there's been one draw between the two teams. But I do expect this game is going to be a cracker. Let's be completely honest. Both teams have showed they can score. The Dragons have actually scored 128 points this year already compared to the Roosters 106. It's where the points are conceded. The Dragons have conceded 150 and the Roosters have conceded 128. So both teams can probably sit there after their 6 games plus a bye, and sit there and go, okay, we're scoring at a decent rate. Now we need to work on those defensive issues because, as we know, defense wins premierships, and that's where both teams will be looking to improve today on Anzac Day. So I'm going to side with the Roosters. I would love to say 13 plus, but I'm not that confident given it is Anzac and the Dragons always show up. I'm going to go to Roosters 1-12. So let me know in the comments what you think. Remember, guys, hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll drop Baxter's tip in the comments below. But guys, let us know what you think, and we'll be back with the next game of